There you are, Miss Glover. Just the way the judge likes it.
I think Judge Royce would starve to death if it weren't for the olives.
Linda, don't forget the Cromwells are expecting Marge and Sam Pittman.
If they're not here in 10 minutes, you take care of them. I've got a date.
Here you are, Judge. Dry as a meter maid's heart.
Well, look who's here. Dr. Manning. Louis?
I don't believe my eyes.
Hello, Linda.
It's good to see you again, Louis.
Join me for a drink?
I'm on duty, but when did that ever stop me?
If you still have your heart set on landing, Louis, make your move, darling, before that barracuda cousin of yours gobbles him up.
It's hard to figure out why some guy hasn't latched onto you yet.
Oh, maybe I'm too particular. Remember the last time I said that was...
Yes, it was at Cynthia's last birthday party. It's been almost a year now. It's all right to talk about it.
Hi, stranger.
Stranger, we had lunch last week.
You didn't tell me you've been seeing Louis.
Oh? And how about hostesses drinking on duty? Did I forget to tell you about that, too?
Ladies.
The Pittmans. Would you show them to the private room? I've got to see about dinner for the Cromwells. Now, don't you leave before I get back, okay?
Well, Louis,
Judge Royce.
why have you been hiding? Your friends miss you.
Thanks. I haven't really been hiding. I've been keeping myself pretty busy down at the clinic.
I just want to say that Cynthia's death, well, it hasn't been easy for any of us.
Yeah.
Judge, phone call for you.
Oh, thank you. Excuse me. Hello?
Judge Royce,
Yes?
this is Cynthia. I'm back.
Who?
Cynthia, what you did was very mean, and I hate you for it.
Who is this?
What is it, Judge? You look like you just seen a ghost.
What's the matter? Oh, another one of those calls. Someone claiming to be Cynthia.
Oh, come on. It's just the work of some demented prankster.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll say goodnight.
They just won't let us forget, will they?
I think I'd better say goodnight, too. Judge, I'll give you a ride home.
No, don't worry about it. It's just a short walk. And I am not about to let that idiot telephone caller get the best of me. Good night, Lois.
Good night, Judge.
Hi, Barnaby.
Martin, this mountain air certainly seems to agree with you.
The only thing I miss about the big city is not getting a chance to see more of you. Barnaby Jones, Claire Glover.
How do you do, ma'am? I hope by asking for this little talk isn't keeping you from doing something you want to do.
I've already told Sheriff Perry everything I know.
I know, but sometimes people can be helped in remembering something they may have overlooked.
Mr. Jones, everyone else accepts the fact that Judge Royce died of an accident. Why isn't that enough for you?
Well, I don't say that I won't arrive at the same conclusion, but that other accident on Friday got me kind of puzzled.
Friday? You talking about Dr. Anderson?
I didn't get a chance to tell you, but California Meridian Insurance has got Barnaby working on a doubleheader.
But the doctor fell while he was out hiking in the mountains. Why should there be any question about his death?
The doctor's receptionist said that he received a phone call before the accident from someone who identified themselves as Cynthia Glover.
From Cynthia?
Well, it's like I told you. The receptionist must have heard wrong, that's all.
Well, that may be so, but you can see how the whole thing would take on a very sinister complexion if Judge Royce had also received such a phone call. Now, you were one of the last people to see her alive, did she?
No. No. If she had, she would have told me.
Are you sure?
Cynthia's dead, Mr. Jones. It's been almost a year since she was lost out there on the lake.
And the year before that, she was under treatment to Dr. Anderson for an emotional disturbance.
It was a terrible thing. 2 years before, she'd been raped. Her mind, it was never the same after that.
So you petitioned the court to have her committed to a mental institution?
I had no other choice. She was my niece. I was legally responsible for her.
Yes, I understand that, but you can see where my suspicions would start to twitch when you consider that it was Dr. Anderson who testified as to her incompetence, and it was Judge Royce who signed the commitment order. And now both are dead within a week.
A coincidence. That's all it is.
Claire.
Excuse me.
Is that the cousin you told me about?
Yes, Linda. Come on, you wanted to see where Judge Royce's body was found?
Hi, Claire. What brings you here?
A private detective named Jones was just out to see me. He knows Doc Anderson also got one of those calls.
What about the Judge Royce call?
Not yet. Some crackpot's trying to ruin this town. And with that detective stirring up things, he mustn't find out about that second phone call. We don't need that kind of publicity. We've got to stick together in this.
Just the way you did when you all got together and had Cynthia committed, right?
Louis, please. I know how much you love Cynthia. We all did. And I feel terrible about my part in it. But what happened is over.
What if it isn't? What if she really is alive? If she didn't drown in the lake that night?
Louis,
After all, they never did find her body.
stop that.
Well, it could be her, couldn't it? Back after all this time to get her revenge on all of you for what you did to her.
It's not going to do any good trying to panic people with talk like that, now is it?
Been a lousy day. I think I gotta get back.
Look, we've all got to try to help each other forget.
Yeah, sure.
Why don't you come out to the lodge tonight? At 10, after we close. We could have a late dinner. Talk?
Yeah, well, if I can make it, I'll call.
Please, try, Louis.
The lifeguard position's open if you're interested.
I might consider it. If the pool is always full of as pretty young ladies as you.
You're cute. do you want to know?
You sure I'm not twisting your arm?
Why hassle? You've been asking a lot of questions about those crazy phone calls. I figured I was next.
I only know of one phone call, the one to Dr. Anderson. Were there others?
Yes, there was another. Judge Royce took it at the lodge the night she died.
From someone who called herself Cynthia Glover?
Why don't you ask Claire? She was there.
Thanks. I'll give it another try.
Mr. Jones, the investigation coming along all right?
It would be coming along better if I'd been provided with all the available facts.
Oh?
I guess you had your own reasons for not telling me that Judge Royce received a Cynthia phone call the night she died. I'm wondering what those reasons are.
Quite simply, I wanted it hushed up to protect a lot of innocent business people, myself included, who might be hurt if it got out that some malicious prankster was trying to scare away the visitors from our resort area.
I suppose you didn't realize when I told you about Dr. Anderson's call that we are probably dealing with a homicidal maniac.
Let's not over-dramatize it, Mr. Jones. There's got to be a more rational explanation.
Excuse me, Miss Clover. They still didn't bring enough firewood. They'll make another delivery tomorrow morning. There you are. Hey,
You're not the regular driver.
he's been sick.
Wait a minute.
Nelson!
Something wrong?
That driver, Nelson Mosley. He's the man who raped Cynthia.
Mr. Mosley?
Yeah?
My name's Barnaby Jones. I'm a private investigator.
Saw you at the Glover place. What do you want?
Well, a few straight answers from you might be helpful. I want to talk to you a little bit about your problems with the late Judge Royce, Dr. Anderson.
Read about it. It was in the papers 3 years ago.
Yeah, I already have. And the way I get the story, Judge Royce presided at your trial for the rape of Cynthia Glover, and Dr. Anderson was one of the chief medical witnesses against you.
Look, Jones, they're dead. My problems with them are over.
Well, maybe not. The way it's beginning to shape up, their accidents are looking more and more like murder.
Don't matter to me how they got to hell as long as they got there.
You didn't help them get there, did you?
No, that's a privilege they don't give ex-cons on parole. Look, mister, I'm busy.
I don't want to hold you up, but there is one more thing. Before they died, both the judge and Dr. Anderson reported that they had received scary phone calls from someone using the name of Cynthia Glover.
What are you trying to pull?
Well, the question is, are you trying to pull anything? Using a woman's voice to fake calls from a dead girl?
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Well, in that case, you won't mind saying where you were when the judge died and when Dr. Anderson was found at the base of the cliff?
I've been in San Diego the past week. I drove in here last night. Now, you can check that.
I will.
But you're right about me having it in for Doc Anderson and the judge. They burned me on a bum rap, and I'm glad they're dead.
Are you saying you were framed?
Like Whistler's mother. The whole mob, including Cynthia, nailed me to the wall. They couldn't believe that a fruit picker's kid could make out with the lousy princess without knocking her to the ground first. So when Cynthia cried rape and her boyfriend Lewis backed her up, well, that's all she wrote.
Lewis?
Yeah, him, the doc, the judge, all of them. 3 to 10 years, heavy time. And I would still be stamping license plates if the boss here hadn't promised the parole board I'd have a job if they let me out.
There was a Lewis Manning in the restaurant the night the judge died. Is that the boyfriend that you're referring to?
Yeah. Nowadays, he's a kid shrink at the clinic in town.
Thank you very much.
Cynthia.
Hello, Louis. It's just me.
That's a pretty dumb joke.
Don't be mad, Louis. You like my dress? I think it makes me look very pretty, don't you?
What are you trying to do, Linda? What do you want?
Isn't it obvious?
Yeah.
I just love it here, don't you, Louis? It's my magic garden where all my dreams come true.
Stop it. You know Cynthia and I used to come here all the time. What are you trying to do?
Nothing. You and your damn ghost. Cynthia's dead. Don't you understand? She's dead, and I'm alive.
I'm sorry.
Louis! Louis! Louis, please wait. I didn't want to say anything mean. I'm sorry, Louis. I just want you to forget Cynthia. Please, Louis. There are other girls you can love. What's this all about?
It's nothing, Claire.
Louis, you leave Louis alone. Do you hear me, Claire? You've already taken everything else that belonged to Cynthia, the rest around her inheritance.
Linda, that's enough.
No, I'm not going to let her have Louis, too. Never!
I'm sorry. About dinner tonight.
I told you, I'll call.
Well, Dr. Manning, they told me at the clinic that I might find you here. My name is Barnaby Jones.
Oh, yeah, the private detective.
Yes. According to Sheriff Perry, you left the lodge about the same time as Judge Royce.
That's right.
Did you notice anything unusual?
No, I offered her a ride home. She said no, so I took off.
You and Cynthia Glover were very close, weren't you?
We were going to be married.
I know about the Cynthia call to the judge.
I see. Well, if you know that already, there's nothing else to tell.
I wonder if you would mind telling me a little something about Cynthia. It's very difficult to visualize someone unless you have some sort of an image. I hear she was very beautiful.
Yes. Here, you can see for yourself. That picture was taken a couple of days before. See, Cynthia had gone to a party ahead of me, and when I arrived, I couldn't find her, so I went out looking for her. And, I found them in the garden.
Nelson Mosley?
Yeah. No, I think I would have killed him right there with my hands if I hadn't heard that scream and seen the look on her face. After a couple of days, it became very obvious that she'd been severely traumatized.
How long after that was there first talk about having her committed?
Well, it was touch and go for almost 2 years. Claire was her aunt and her closest relative. I guess she thought she was doing what was best for Cynthia.
But you didn't.
Psychology's my field, Mr. Johns. I was only a graduate student then, but I tried to convince them, to show them that it was only a temporary condition, that it was a trauma arising out of the shock of having been raped.
But Dr. Anderson didn't agree.
No, he thought she was being a menace to herself and to all the people around her. So he got Judge Royce to sign the papers. And that night, Cynthia rowed a boat out into the middle of the lake, and that was the last time anybody saw her.
The sheriff had the lake dragged, but they never found the body.
That's right. They found the boat with her sweater in it. I guess they figured that she was lost somewhere in the deep caverns of the lake bed.
Yes, I understand that's happened before. Well, thank you very much, Doctor.
Barnaby Jones' office, J.R. Jones speaking.
Jedediah, I pay you a retainer for valuable services, not one of which includes being a receptionist.
Hiya, Barnaby. I was just covering for Betty so she can get her hair done. Anyway, I figure answering the phone kind of gives me the feel of the operation here.
Did Betty fill you in on the Judge Royce case?
Yeah, what's up?
Tell Betty I need the medical records of the Cynthia Glover commitment. She can find them in the Cumberland County Courthouse.
You think there's a connection?
Maybe two of the principals in the decision to commit are suddenly dead, and the aunt is suddenly wealthy.
Wow. How about if Betty and I come up there and give you a hand, huh?
Don't you have a class today in corporate law?
There's got to be more to life than trying to pass a California bar, Barnaby.
Listen, little cousin, just burn one end of the candle at a time. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Glover Lodge. Hold on. It's for you, Miss Glover.
Is it Louis Manning?
Sounds like a woman.
I'll be right there.
We'll be with you in just a minute.
Don't forget to leave the front door unlocked for Louis.
Okay. Good night.
Hello?
It's Cynthia.
What?
But you knew I would call, didn't you, Claire?
Who's there? Who is it?
Only I could have talked to Claire one more time, just once more to tell her how sorry I am for all the mean things I said.
And you didn't see your cousin again after you ran off yesterday?
I was upset. I stayed in my apartment in town all night.
10:05, Sheriff. That's your determination of the time of death?
Well, I can't imagine any other way that Claire's watch would be broken except when she was struck by the pot. Harry, you took off for home a little after 10?
2-3 minutes at the most.
Harry told my deputy that Claire asked him to leave the front door open for you. How come he never showed up?
I got tied up at the clinic. I tried to call to beg off. There was no answer.
Harry, didn't you tell my deputy that Claire did receive a call from Louis?
No, he got it wrong. I told him there was a call that Claire thought was Mr. Manning.
What call was that?
Didn't get her name.
Her name?
Well, it sounded like a woman, I think.
Well, think harder, Harry. Was it the same voice that called Judge Royce the night she died?
Well, now, wait a minute. I didn't hear anything about a call to the judge.
Miss Glover made us promise not to say anything about it.
I'll talk to you about that later, Martin. Was it?
It could have been. Yeah, I guess maybe it was the voice of the woman calling herself Cynthia.
Well, Martin, are you beginning to contemplate the possibilities?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If somebody is murdering these people, I'm still not going to believe that it's the work of a supernatural killer. We found this on the floor next to the body.
CLG.
Cynthia Lynn Glover.
If someone is trying to make us believe a dead girl committed those murders, they're trying awfully hard.
It's obvious. That killer planted this next to the body to throw everybody off. Just like he or she or whoever it is pretending to be Cynthia making those calls.
Stay back, I'll smash your head! How'd they ever let scum like you back out on the streets?
Oh, listen to that. The pot cursing the kettle. Well, it's time you listened for a change.
I did listen. I listened for a day and a half in that courthouse till I wanted to throw up.
You all railroaded me! 3 years! And throw in this arm I lost in a prison fight. Now, that's what the lies Cynthia told cost me.
I was there. I saw it.
You were there at the end. You didn't see her the night she got to that party all wild-eyed, acting weird. Like she was on something. Pot, uppers, I don't know, something.
No, she didn't do any of that.
Oh, yeah? Then maybe you didn't know her like you let on. She was flying. Especially after she got me to take her into the garden.
Got you?
That's right. It wasn't me that made the first move. She said she needed air. Something else she needed. Come at me grabbing and pawing.
No!
Yes! She said I was dirt and she wanted to wallow in it. And it wasn't until you showed up that she changed. All sudden like then she's crying rape. Well, you and all the others, you didn't want to know the truth then, and you don't want to know it now. But that's the way it was. Look, man, I already put in my time. I got no reason to lie. You gotta believe me, Cynthia was out of her skull that night.
If anything comes up, why, I'll give you a call. Where are you staying?
Pineview Motel.
Harry, I want you back here at 5 o'clock.
Today?
Yes. We still have a business to run, you know.
Yes, Miss Clover. Gentlemen?
And her cousin's body's not even cold yet.
Is Linda the sole heir to Claire's estate, or do the other relatives share also?
Oh, as far as I know, she's the end of the line. Yeah. Maybe I better have one of my deputies start to do a little checking on her alibi. I'll see you.
show up in time for a free lunch, don't you?
Well, that's what you get for not paying me a halfway decent living wage. Here's the medical testimony from Cynthia Glover's commitment hearing. What's all that?
A couple of fingerprints I left it in a phone booth.
You mean you have something?
I won't know until the sheriff checks it out with the FBI.
Just any old phone booth?
No, the phone booth closest to the lodge. The bartender said that Claire received a call at the bar just before closing time. And shortly after that, she was dead.
Think it was another Cynthia call?
Well, the call would have had to been made close enough so the killer could get there in just those few minutes. Might not have been that phone booth. Might have. What do you got?
Well, some pretty depressing reading, I'm afraid. Besides Dr. Vincent Anderson's testimony, there's also some unpublished background reports from a court-appointed neurologist, a Dr. William Reston. He did a series of tests on Cynthia.
Yeah, psychological profile, full physical, Rorschach, EEG brainwave.
What is it?
Betty, we've got to have a talk with Dr. Lewis Manning.
Hi, I'm the manager. If you're looking for Lewis, you'll have to try the clinic.
Oh, I tried there, and they gave me this address. What time do you expect him home?
Hard to tell. Lewis keeps the apartment, but he's rarely here. He's been staying mostly at a cabin he owns up in the mountains.
How would I get there?
Out the highway, 12 miles to the Ridgecrest turnoff. Left for another 8 miles, and there you are. Got his name on the box, can't miss.
Isn't it kind of unusual maintaining 2 homes in a community this size?
True. Lewis has cause to be eccentric. When he's out at the clinic, he's become a sort of hermit. It all started with the death of the girl he was going to marry.
I see. Well, thank you.
Well, there's no car. And unless Mr. Manning is a long-distance jogger, we've struck out again.
Well, let's give it a try.
Must we?
Dr. Manning?
Barnaby, if we have to put in some waiting time, could we do it in the car?
Don't tell me you're afraid of the woods, Betty.
Not the woods. Just of the bears and the lions and the snakes in the woods.
Yeah, take a look at this.
What? The bars?
Yeah. Same thing down here.
Well, is there something strange about people wanting to protect themselves with barred windows?
First rule about protecting property is
Try not to get robbed in the first place.
Well, that sounds reasonable.
The way to do that is to make sure that any potential intruder sees that the house is very hard to break into.
Of course. The bar should be on the outside, not hidden inside.
Yeah. I think we ought to have a look inside.
Right. What's wrong?
Can't seem to make the tumblers catch.
Ah, you did it again.
No, I didn't. The door was unlocked. Oh, I see. It was broken on the inside. Doesn't quite have the Spartan look of a man living as a hermit.
Well, apparently he has found himself a lady hermit to share the lonely hours.
Betty? Cynthia Glover. It's the doctor.
You've got no right in here. Get out.
Now, take it easy, doctor. We just want to have a little talk. This is my daughter-in-law, Betty Jones.
The manager told you to try me at the clinic. You've got no right breaking in here.
We didn't exactly break in. The door lock was already broken. Now, would you like to tell me why, or would you like me to tell you?
What I would really like is for you to leave. Right now.
All right, but the sheriff will probably be interested in my theory, which includes the reason why you installed these bars the way you did, which is not to keep people out, but to lock somebody in.
I don't know what you mean.
This is a copy of the rap sheet from the file of Cynthia Glover's commitment hearing. She was apparently arrested at one time for drunken driving.
Well, they took her whole life's history. So what?
These are a couple of fingerprints I picked up in the phone booth near the lodge this morning. They match.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Those phone calls from Cynthia, she made them herself, didn't she?
No, Mosley made him. Nelson Mosley made him. He did it for revenge. That's why he came back here, to get a job at the mill so he could be close.
Won't wash, Lewis. Those fingerprints are conclusive. And if the sheriff wants more, I'm sure he can pick up hundreds here in the cabin.
No, wait a minute. You don't understand.
I think I do. A man in love with a woman, a professional psychologist who knew before anyone else that the woman's mind was not stable. He felt qualified to help her with her problem, but desperately afraid that he might lose her to some institution. I can understand that.
She's my whole life, Mr. Jones.
That night Cynthia rode out on the lake, you got there in time to save her, didn't you?
Yeah.
Then you brought her up here, caged her in, and spent all that time trying to cure her.
It was working, too. Every day she was improving. She was opening up. She was becoming more like the girl that she used to be. The one I fell in love with. And last Friday, I came home from the clinic and she'd broken through the lock.
Someone's taking the Jeep.
Cynthia.
If that was Cynthia and she was listening, she knows that Nelson Mosley's out of jail.
Cynthia.
No. You're the last one.
No, what happened wasn't my fault. I swear it wasn't.
Yes, it was. And the rest of them, too. They wanted to put me away in a place where they locked the doors forever.
Like the place Lewis locked you in?
Yes. But I got away from Lewis, didn't I?
Take it easy. Everything's gonna be all right. Just take it easy.
The only thing that kept me going all that time in prison was how much I hated her for what she did to me. How glad I was she was dead. Now, all I can feel is sorry for her.
My deputy just radioed in. They picked Lewis up. I don't know what the DA is going to charge him with yet, but that man's indirectly responsible for 3 deaths. It's incredible.
And it all could have been avoided if he hadn't tried to play God.
You think there's still a chance for Cynthia, Mr. Jones?
Well, she's in the right hands now. That's the best chance anybody can get.
Thank you.
Wait till the truck's loaded.
Well, morning, Lee. Ready for another nice, easy day in the sun?
Sure thing, Charlie. If you call spreading fertilizer on 10 acres of tomatoes an easy day.
Oh, come on, you trustees have got it made. No mortgages to pay, no taxes.
Oh, yeah. 3 hots and a cot. Paradise.
Why, sure.
6 of these things.
Easy, easy.
No trouble at all. Okay, let's get going. What the hell's going on?
Call out in your dead man and keep your hands down.
You smart fella. They buried the last con who tried to break. Remember?
Look, you just climb in, man, and you remember. This is gonna be at the back of your head all the way. So you keep smiling, huh? How about you, kid? You want to take a ride?
Pass. I'm up for parole in a couple months. Man, you could have killed him.
Paisan, let's go. You take his feet, kid. Come on, move. Looks like you're going with us after all, huh?
No, man, leave me out of it.
Look, we can't get near enough that gate. Got 2 guys up there, and I'm the wrong color. Now move it. All right, move it, baby, and take it easy.
Hopper, you gotta let me go.
Shut up. Now, Logan, now go, go! That's the road, Logan. Take it. Hopper, go get him. Get out.
Charlie, how's Charlie?
Dead. So's Logan. This one's gonna cost you, kid.
What, me? No. Wait. They forced me to do it. Hopper would have killed me if I didn't.
Come on, let's go.
Jack! What happened? I was afraid you wouldn't find where I hid the gun.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
What about Logan?
He didn't make it. Look, just don't get all worked up. Means the money's all ours now.
No! It's all over for me, don't you understand? They're calling it felony murder because they think I was in on it.
So you want to just give up? Is that it?
Mom, I can't let you go throw your money away on hiring a private detective when they got me cold.
You think you could stop feeling sorry for yourself long enough to answer a few questions?
Warden's already asked them all. Only answers I get back are like nails in a coffin. Mine.
According to your record, you provided a few of the nails.
You know how it is. Trying to hang in with the guys on the block. Next thing you know, they're knocking over a liquor store, and I get tagged for it along with the others.
He swore on his father's grave, Mr. Jones, he didn't help rob that store.
I'm not talking about how your son got into jail, Mrs. Watson. According to this, you were turned down for parole the first time 6 months ago.
In the beginning, I got into a couple of fights.
And you got too friendly with a few of the hard-timers, like Jack Hopper?
That's how I stopped getting into fights, Mr. Jones, by making friends with everybody.
Excuse me, Barnaby, here's a file you wanted on Jack Hopper.
Well, thank you, Jedediah. Oh, Miss Watson and Lee, this is Jedediah Romano Jones, my new associate.
Barnaby is also my cousin, which is why he's so formal. Most people just call me J.R. Anyway, according to that, Hopper and his friend Logan were 2 years into a life sentence for an armored car heist.
Killed a driver and got away with almost $500,000.
$425,000 to be exact. Logan was always puffing his chest about it.
Yeah, since the money was not recovered, I can understand why.
Jack will be recovering it now, you betcha. Then he'll be long gone, Hopper.
Maybe if he stops to dig up all that money, it might delay him enough so the police would catch up.
Yeah. And if Jack was brought in alive, I know that he'd clear me. Only he swore that the cops would have to kill him to take him. I believe it.
Don't you see, Mr. Jones, you must find him first. Lee will probably be in here for life.
Well, that's kind of like drawing to an inside straight from a deck with only one card left in it. But I'll see what I can do.
keep on moving. Keep your heads down. Come on, move it, move it, move it. Come on, you dummy, move. Come on, come on. Come on, move it. Okay, take 5.
Says you're expecting him, Ernie. Mr. Kilgore, I'm Herb Dorset, Vice President of Intercoast Armored Transit.
I know who you are. I looked you up. Buck, go on up there and run those guys through that again.
Right. Mr. Kilgore, I'm, sort of short on knowing how to hire a,
Mercenary, bounty hunter. Names don't matter. Only the price. I'll raise an army or find a man if the price is right.
How does $25,000 sound?
Not enough to raise an army.
Intercoast Armored Transit will pay $25,000 to find a man.
Might be enough. Who?
The one on the right. Jack Hopper.
Your company the one that was heisted?
That's right.
The insurance company picked up the losses. Why pay more when the police department's doing it for free?
I have a personal stake in making sure that Hopper is taken. The driver of the armored car they killed, Sean Ryan. We were the best of friends. We grew up together.
Okay. Why me? There are a lot less expensive guys you could try.
You used to be a police detective in Santa Monica. An expert in your field.
Yes, I was asked to resign. I had a built-in reputation for bringing my prisoners back dead. You want Hopper dead, is that it?
I want him removed from society.
Let's say I was to go after Hopper. You got any ideas where I'd start?
Perhaps with her. It's Darla Sanders, Hopper's girlfriend. The insurance company investigators kept a close watch on her until she quit her job at Mount Moriah Hospital and dropped out of sight about 6 months ago.
You figured she was the bank?
The bank?
The place where Hopper and Logan hid the heist money.
Oh, yes. Yes, that was a theory. Especially since the police captured them a short distance from the hospital. My personal theory is that the money might still be hidden somewhere in that hospital.
Okay. I'll get Hopper for you. I'll be in touch.
Still sounding mellow as a cello there, Woody.
Well, no. If my old ears don't deceive me, it's my main man. How's doing, Barnaby?
Good, old friend. How's business?
Fine as wine. Hey, what brings you to Boomtown? A mate? A rumble? A bus?
Mate? Jack Hopper.
Oh, heavy. Heavy.
Maybe this 20 will lighten the load a little bit.
Barnaby, you betting on prime. USDA prime.
You keep on like this, you're gonna turn me into a vegetarian.
It ain't that I heard so much about Hopper, but there's a woman taking care of a hurt man at the Morton Hotel down on 18th. Now, it sounds to me like it might, mind you, might be Darla Sanders, Harper's lady. Seems she's been buying medical goods.
Thanks a lot, Woody. Be seeing you.
Barnaby, there's somebody else looking for Harper. And it ain't the cops neither.
Who?
Well, I don't know. The big man. Tough voice. I got a cold wind from that dude. Now you take care. You hear?
I hear you loud and clear. Thanks, Woody.
Ernie Kilgore.
Well, Barnaby,
I thought you were someone else.
I hoped you were. Lucky for him.
Yes, I know your style. Shoot first and make a citizen's arrest and claim the bounty. You're one of the last of a dying breed.
Fella's got to turn a buck. Liberating merging nations. Doesn't pay the way it used to.
Who's paying you for Hopper? I didn't know there was any new bounty on him.
He's patched up and moving. So am I. See ya.
Kilgore. I need Hopper alive. He can clear my client of being in on that jailbreak and guard killing. Without Hopper, he goes to jail for life, and he's a nice young fella. Needs a break.
That's too bad. Just stay out of my way, Barnaby. You understand?
Oh, sure. And Kilgore. Just you stay out of mine.
Seven inches, that's 3.5 miles.
Now, the police lost him in traffic here. And 50 minutes later, black and white spotted him here and chased him down to there.
That's about 1.5 miles.
Took him 50 minutes to get from there to there, which normally takes 5.
Well, even so, would they have had enough time to hide the money?
They didn't have it on them when they were caught.
Listen, when you fellas get down to playing pin the tail on the donkey, give me a call. Hmm?
Betty, did Lieutenant Biddle dig up anything on Hopper's girlfriend?
Only that Darla Sanders quit her job at Mount Moriah Hospital about 6 months ago and hasn't been seen since.
Mount Moriah. That's the 12th.
Well, that must be it.
Well, that seems to prove your hunch that Darla must have taken part in the robbery. Hmm?
Betty, call the personnel director at Mount Moriah. Tell him I'm coming over to talk to him.
This is the down car. I thought you said you hid the money on the roof someplace.
Anything?
No, except hanging around here, I feel like I'm catching something.
Yeah, I'm gonna check around.
It's all changed.
What?
There was a place back there where they closed up a big electrical box. I hid the money in there.
In there where?
They must have covered it up when they put in this wall with all these heaters.
Well, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna get it?
I don't know. All right? Oh, young lady.
I'm checking in, Dorset. No brass ring yet. By the way, you might like to know there's a private cop who's also looking for Hopper.
Oh? Who?
Barnaby Jones. He's pretty good, too.
I wonder who he's working for.
Some con doing time. Not important. I'll be talking to you.
Here we are. Sanders Dollar Jean. Oh, I remember her now. She's a very nice girl. Quiet.
Are there any names on her application? Close relatives to call in case of an emergency?
Relatives? None.
Well, that alley leads to a blank wall.
Who was Darla's boss?
That would be, Allison Claymore. I'll have a page. Won't be long now, baby. Won't be long now.
What are we gonna do now? Oh, baby, let's come back tonight.
By the night, I want us to be long gone. You know where to keep the tools in this place.
Maintenance has a supply room upstairs.
All right, you go up there and get me another screwdriver, a big one.
Oh, I don't know.
Just do it, woman.
All right.
Well, what's this all about?
It has something to do with that armored truck robbery a few years ago. You remember it?
Yeah, where the driver died? Sure, I was in emergency helping out when the police brought him in.
You remember somebody working for the hospital about that time named Darla Sanders?
Yes?
Now, I know it's been a long time, but do you happen to recall anything unusual about Darla on that particular day?
Why, yes, I did.
What was it?
She came to work.
It's funny, that's the way Barnaby reacts whenever I show up in the morning.
Why did that surprise you?
Because it was her day off. I was just stepping into the basement elevator after picking up some supplies when I saw her come in.
She came to work through the basement?
Mm-hmm. It was very unusual. And when I asked her about it later, she said she sometimes used the basement door as a shortcut.
Isn't the basement door usually locked?
No, all the time.
Well, thank you, Miss Claymore. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Darla? Darla Sanders?
I'm afraid you have the wrong person. I don't want to go through that anymore.
Thank you.
I don't know, Barnaby, there's something to that. Darla gets brownie points by coming in on her day off, which just happens to be the day that Hopper and Logan are knocking off all that money.
Which the police did not find on him when they caught up with him a few blocks from here.
Basement?
Worth a try.
You go that way.
That's it, baby. That's it. It's empty. The money's not in there.
You mean we've gone through all this for nothing?
It had to be in there.
You see what happens? Because you don't trust me? Now those guys who built the wall are probably spending it.
No. You see that? All that dust? That money hasn't been in there in years.
Well, then who could have gotten it?
Only one man. And I know where he's at.
That way.
Hopper?
The guy in there is dead.
One of yours, Kilgore?
My best. All this garbage you handed me about taking Hopper alive. That's what it is, garbage. He's a dead man, Jones.
Okay, Kilgore. But don't go anyplace. I might want to talk to you again.
I'll be around till I find Hopper. Count on it.
Real sweetheart.
Yep. Bullets wouldn't melt in his mouth. But as long as he keeps it legal, there's nothing I can do. Anyway, Hopper's probably got the money and is long gone by now.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Dust, mold. Been there a long time. Hopper didn't get any money out of there because there was no money in there.
What are you thinking, a falling out among thieves?
Which thief? Logan was in jail with Hopper.
Well, if it was Hopper's girlfriend who took the money, what's she hanging around here for?
You saying somebody else was in on that armored truck robbery with him?
If that's true, Hopper isn't going anywhere until he gets what he thinks is his.
Well, we're hot after Hopper now. But listen, Barnaby, Kilgore is not any better than Hopper. You watch your back.
That's what Jedediah's for.
Of course, I'd like to help all I can, Mr. Jones, but it's as I told the police who were here earlier. There isn't much I can add that they don't already know.
According to these, you were supervisor of the division at the time that the truck was robbed.
Yes. I still wake up nights in a cold sweat over it.
Did it ever occur to you that there may have been an inside man?
Yes, it did. There's no doubt the job was well planned. But everybody was cleared by the investigation. Of course, the driver wasn't available for questioning. He was dead. My hunch is he fed the information to Hopper.
Well, if your hunch is correct, then it follows that Hopper may have had to kill the driver in order to keep him quiet.
And to cut him out of his share of the split. Exactly.
There was a bounty hunter, a fellow named Kilgore, over at the hospital looking for Hopper.
Bounty hunter? I didn't know there still were such men.
Oh, yes, if the reward is high enough, people like that come out from under rocks. Did your company post a reward?
No. We got our money back from the insurance company. We have no further interest in the case.
Well, somebody certainly does. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Just keep driving. You drive nice and easy, or I'm gonna scatter your brains. Keep moving straight ahead down there.
I was expecting you, Jack, but not like this.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Let's go to my place. We can talk.
Just keep driving, man.
What are you gonna do?
Oh, it'd almost be worth the whole 425 G's to pop you right now.
Okay, okay, so you got a beef coming. What was I supposed to do? My share for planning the armored truck heist was 1/3.
So you stuck around the hospital till you figured out where we hid the bread and then you took it all? A partner?
What was I supposed to do? Wait until you got out of jail? That might have been never.
That was the plan, man. No split without the three of us being there.
Okay. Take it easy. I've got your share. I've been holding it for you.
No, you haven't, man. But you're gonna come up with it anyway, Dorset. Now!
What do you think? I'd keep that kind of money in a sock?
You see that alley right there? You just turn into it and stop.
Listen to reason, Jack. I need time to get my hands on that money.
Tonight, man! And Dorset, remember, I know where to find you.
Okay, Jack. Tonight you'll have it.
All right. I'll call you later at your office and let you know where to go, huh? When I get out of here, man, you beat it. Hang in there, baby. It's almost home, huh?
Hi. Well, according to this information I dug up on Herb Dorset, he lives very, very well.
How well?
Well, he earns $50,000 a year, yet he owns a $210,000 house.
Free and clear?
Mm-hmm. Mortgage was paid off 2 years ago, less than a month after the armored car robbery. And he joined the best clubs in La Jolla, Palm Springs, and he has a son in Harvard.
All of that on 50 grand a year must be a wizard in the stock market or something.
No, I checked. Oh, he plays in it, but not that much.
Well, he's sure found a gold mine someplace.
One of his armed trucks, maybe.
You think Dorset is the inside man?
If we could tie him in with hiring Kilgore, I'd bet on it.
Look, why don't I volunteer for Kilgore Soldier Fortune operation? I can dig in, I can get close to him, you know.
No, Jedediah, that would take too long, but you did give me an idea. Betty, get our bounty hunter on the phone. I'll tell you what to say.
Thank you. You know, with all this fighting that's going on, I'm afraid that people are getting a distorted view of modern Africa. There's still beauty and romance. All you have to do is look for it. Mrs. Radner.
Why don't you call me Betty? It's much less formal that way, really.
When you want something, you go after pretty strong, don't you, Betty?
I'm sorry. It's just that I've been going crazy trying to find someone who will help me get my brother out of that awful jail in Mexico.
I'm doing something right now, but I can get him out, all right? As long as you're willing to pay the tab and don't ask any questions about how it's done.
Anything. You do realize that, I mean, it isn't as though he's done some terrible crime down there or anything like that.
Doesn't matter. Excuse me. It's my service. I'll be back in a minute.
Hi, Charlie. He's in there.
Hello, 818, you beeped?
Yes, here it is, Mr. Kilgore. A message came in just a few minutes ago to call your employer. Says it's important.
My employer? Yeah, okay. It's Kilgore. What do you want?
What do you mean? I didn't call you again.
Well, my service said my employer called. I thought it was you.
No, not me. Oh, but don't hang up. I heard from Jack Hopper a few hours ago. He called me.
He called you?
I was going to handle it myself, but he wants to turn himself in. Yeah, but he's afraid of the police. He wants to meet me first, you know, be a witness.
Let's cut out the bull, Dorset. You want Harper dead, so do I. Only now it's going to cost you $100,000.
What?
I got to thinking about your personal theory and sending me to the hospital to find Harper. You couldn't have figured that unless you knew the loot was hidden there in the first place. You hoisted your own company, didn't you? 100 G's. Good deal?
All right.
Good. Where did Harper say he'd meet you?
He didn't. He's going to call me at a phone booth in the corner of 10th and Caldwell at 4. I'm supposed to bring his share of the loot with me.
All right, you wait right there. I'll be right over. I'm very sorry. I've got to run.
About my brother?
We'll be in touch. Bye.
Kilgore certainly left in a hurry. What'd you find out?
A lot more than I figured. Come on, we haven't got much time. Tenth and Caldwell, there's a phone booth. Dorset has 10 minutes before Hopper's call.
Now, Barnaby, Hopper's no fool. If he sees us or anyone else following Dorset, he's not going to show himself.
I'm counting on Hopper being in the neighborhood to see if Dorset came alone. We'll concentrate on spotting Hopper. Maybe I can take him by surprise.
Yes. Yes, what now? Yes, I understand. I'll wait 5 minutes after you hang up and start for the drop point.
Yeah, you get it, Mr. Dorset.
Barnaby, there he is.
Got it. They're dead road after the bridge on the Ridge Route.
Then left 2 miles, where I tossed the money out by a tree, with a red cloth tied to it. He says he'll be watching me all the time.
I'll be a few minutes behind you. After you drive away and Hopper comes out to get the money, your problems with him are over.
Why are we stopping?
See that dirt road down there?
There's Hopper.
Yeah, and he's not going far down that road. It angles back to this one about 3 miles down the way. Call the sheriff.
Right.
That's it, Hop. You're never gonna make it. Now toss your gun on the ground. Now.
So Dorset cried cop, huh? Okay. And he's going down with me.
That's for sure. Now let's go. Back to where you parked your car.
Look, there's a couple $100,000 in this. Let's deal.
You were set up, Hopper. Dorset hired a bounty hunter to get your head. I doubt if you'll find anything in that briefcase except some old phone books.
No! I'll take over, Mayor. I gotta hand it to you, Barnaby. I didn't think you'd get to him first.
Just lucky, I guess. Have to be to compete with high-priced talent like you.
Praises like that could turn a fella's head. Now, why don't you just say goodbye and let me and my prisoner get out of here?
You can't afford to let me go, Kilgore. What's it gonna be? We separate a little, then you make it look like we shot each other?
Yeah, I never thought of that.
Hey, get me to a doctor. I'm hurting bad.
So's the young fella at the prison. The one you left to take the rap for the dead guard.
My prayers are answered, son.
We also got a little help from Jack Hopper and Mr. Jones.
How can we ever thank you, Mr. Jones?
The fact that the warden feels Lee's next parole hearing will be favorable is all the thanks I need.
Just got the word from Lieutenant Biddle. He says that Dorset and Kilgore are going down for conspiracy to commit murder for a start.
Well, it looks as though you're going to be the only one that's on the outside looking in.
And it's gonna stay that way. You can make book on it.
Don't give the parole board any wrong ideas.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can bank on it.
The evening air at the mountain resort was crisp and carried the faint, sweet scent of pine needles, a refreshing change from the heavy smog of the big city. Inside the warmth of the bustling Glover Lodge, the atmosphere was lively and filled with the gentle clinking of glasses and the low hum of cheerful conversation. Claire Glover adjusted the collar of her dress, her eyes scanning the dining room with the practiced precision of an experienced hostess. She turned toward the counter where the bartender was carefully placing a plump green olive into a crystal glass. "There you are, Miss Glover," the bartender said with a warm, helpful smile, wiping the polished wooden counter with a clean cloth. "Just the way the judge likes it." Claire laughed softly, a sound that blended easily with the background music. "I think Judge Royce would starve to death if it weren't for the olives," she remarked amusedly, taking the tray with a steady hand. She turned her head slightly to catch the attention of her younger cousin, who was leaning against the nearby station. "Linda, don't forget the Cromwells are expecting Marge and Sam Pittman," Claire reminded her, her tone gentle but organized. "If they're not here in 10 minutes, you take care of them. I've got a date." Linda nodded quickly, offering a supportive wave to assure Claire that everything was under control under her watchful eye. Claire walked gracefully across the room toward a corner booth where an elegant, elderly woman sat waiting. "Here you are, Judge," Claire said, placing the drink down with a polite flourish. "Dry as a meter-maid's heart." Judge Royce smiled, her eyes crinkling at the corners with genuine appreciation for the hospitality. Before she could speak, a tall, professional-looking man walked through the front doors of the lodge, checking his watch with a faint smile. "Well, look who's here," Judge Royce noted, gesturing toward the entrance. "Dr. Manning." Claire looked up, her expression shifting to one of pleasant surprise. "Lewis? I don't believe my eyes," she said warmly. Lewis Manning walked over, his posture relaxed despite the long hours he usually kept. "Hello, Linda," he called out toward the counter first, before turning his full attention to the hostess. "It's good to see you again, Lewis," Claire said, her voice filled with positive energy. "Join me for a drink?" Lewis chuckled softly, shaking his head with a touch of light-hearted regret. "I'm on duty, but when did that ever stop me?" he joked, though he remained standing, maintaining his professional boundaries while enjoying the friendly banter. From the edge of the bar, Linda watched the interaction with a knowing smile, leaning over to whisper playfully to a passing colleague. "If you still have your heart set on landing, Lewis, make your move, darling, before that barracuda cousin of yours gobbles him up," she murmured with a soft chuckle, though her eyes held a deeper, more complicated emotion. She walked over to join them, her smile bright and welcoming. "It's hard to figure out why some guy hasn't latched onto you yet," Linda said, directing her playful wit toward Claire. Claire smiled back, completely unbothered by the teasing. "Maybe I'm too particular," Claire replied smoothly, her tone light and full of self-assurance. "Remember the last time I said that was?" Linda mused, her expression turning slightly thoughtful as she looked at Lewis. "Yes, it was at Cynthia's last birthday party. It's been almost a year now." She paused, realizing the shift in atmosphere, but added softly, "It's all right to talk about it." Lewis shifted his weight, his smile remaining polite but a quiet shadow passing briefly over his face at the mention of the name. At that moment, a regular guest walked past, tipping his hat with a grin. "Hi, stranger," he called out to Lewis. Lewis turned, glad for the light-hearted distraction. "Stranger? We had lunch last week," he replied with a laugh. The guest winked at Claire, teasingly adding, "You didn't tell me you've been seeing Lewis." Claire raised an eyebrow, her wit matching his instantly. "Oh. And how about hostesses drinking on duty? Did I forget to tell you about that, too?" Everyone shared a gentle laugh, the warmth of the lodge keeping any lingering sadness at bay. Claire then noticed a new party arriving at the entrance and tapped Linda on the shoulder. Ladies, the Pittmans. Would you show them to the private room? I've got to see about dinner for the Cromwells." She turned back to Lewis, her smile warm and encouraging. "Now, don't you leave before I get back, okay?" "Hello, Lewis." Judge Rice greeted him again as Claire walked away. "Why have you been hiding? Your friends miss you." Lewis offered a grateful nod to the judge. "Thanks. I haven't really been hiding," he explained, his tone full of dedication to his public service. "I've been keeping myself pretty busy down at the clinic." Judge Royce looked at him with deep sympathy, her voice dropping to a gentle, caring register. "I just want to say that Cynthia's death, well, it hasn't been easy for any of us." Louis gave a quiet, appreciative nod. Yeah, he whispered. Before the conversation could drift further into the past, the bartender approached the booth with a polite nod. Judge, phone call for you, he announced. Oh, thank you. Excuse me, Judge Royce said, sliding out of the booth with a small sigh of relief at the interruption. She walked over to the wall phone near the hallway and lifted the receiver to her ear. Hello? She said clearly. The voice on the other end was faint, distorted by static, but it carried a chillingly familiar cadence. Judge Rice? The voice whispered. Yes. The judge answered, her brow furrowing in confusion. This is Cynthia, the voice said. The judge froze, her hand tightening on the plastic receiver. What? She breathed, thinking it must be a trick of the mind. I'm back, the voice continued, soft but steady. Who? The judge demanded, her heart starting to beat a little faster against her ribs. Cynthia, the voice repeated, sounding strangely distant, yet clear. What you did was very mean. And I hate you for it. Who is this? Judge Royce demanded loudly, her voice trembling with a mixture of confusion and sudden anger. Back at the table, Louis and Linda noticed the sudden change in the older woman's demeanor. Louis stood up immediately, walking over to the phone alcove with genuine concern. What is it, Judge? You look like you've just seen a ghost, he said, his voice steady and grounding. What's the matter? Judge Royce slowly hung up the telephone, her fingers shaking slightly as she turned around to face him. Oh, another one of those calls, she said, trying to force a laugh that did not quite reach her eyes. Someone claiming to be Cynthia. Louis frowned, his psychological training kicking in as he sought to comfort her. Oh, come on, he said gently, offering a reassuring smile. It's just the work of some demented prankster. Judge Royce took a deep breath, trying to shake off the unsettling feeling that the voice had left behind. Yeah, she sighed, adjusting her coat. Well, I guess I'll say goodnight. They just won't let us forget, will they? Louis nodded understandingly, his empathy showing clearly. Yeah, I think I'd better say goodnight, too, he agreed. He looked out the window at the dark, winding mountain paths. Judge, I'll give you a ride home. Judge Royce shook her head, her stubborn independence returning. No, don't worry about it, she insisted with a polite wave. It's just a short walk. And I'm not about to let that idiot telephone caller get the best of me. Good night, Willis, she called out to the bartender as she headed for the door. Good night, Judge, Willis replied cheerfully. The next morning, the bright California sun melted the frost on the pines, casting a brilliant golden light over the mountain trails. Barnaby Jones stood near the edge of a scenic overlook, his hands buried deep in the pockets of his practical overcoat. He was a man of great experience, his eyes sharp and observant, yet his face carried the kind, weathered expression of a grandfatherly figure who had seen it all but never lost his faith in human nature. He breathed in the crisp morning air, turning as a local vehicle pulled up. Out stepped a sturdy man in a uniform. Hi, Barnaby, the man called out warmly. Martin, Barnaby replied, his voice a comforting, slow drawl. This mountain air certainly seems to agree with you. Martin laughed, walking over to join the veteran investigator. The only thing I don't like about it is that it's so cold, Martin joked. The only thing I miss about the big city is not getting a chance to see more of you. Barnaby chuckled, appreciating the friendly camaraderie. He turned his attention toward a wooden cabin just down the road, where Claire Glover was currently standing by her porch. Barnaby Jones, or Claire Glover, he murmured, indicating their next destination. They walked over together, their footsteps crunching on the dry gravel. Claire turned to greet them, her expression polite but somewhat guarded. How do you do, ma'am? Barnaby said, tipping his hat with old-fashioned courtesy. I hope my asking for this little talk isn't keeping you from doing something you want to do. Claire sighed softly, leaning against the wooden railing. I've already told Sheriff Perry everything I know, she said, her voice tight with the strain of recent events. Barnaby nodded sympathetically, his manner completely non-threatening. I know, but sometimes people can be helped in remembering something they may have overlooked, he explained gently. Claire looked at him, her eyes searching his face for any sign of malice. Mr. Jones, everyone else accepts the fact that Judge Royce died of an accident, she stated firmly, trying to find closure. Why isn't that enough for you? Barnaby smiled softly, his tone remaining patient and reasonable. Well, I don't say that I won't arrive at the same conclusion, but that other accident on Friday got me kind of puzzled, he admitted. Martin stepped forward slightly to clarify the situation for Claire. Friday? You talking about Dr. Anderson? He asked. I didn't get a chance to tell you, but California Meridian Insurance has got Barnaby working on a doubleheader, Martin explained, revealing the professional connection. Claire frowned, genuinely confused by the turn of events. But the doctor fell while he was out hiking in the mountains, she reasoned. Why should there be any question about his death? Barnaby adjusted his glasses, his eyes sharp but kind. The doctor's receptionist said that he received a phone call before the accident from someone who identified themselves as Cynthia Glover, he revealed softly. Claire gasped slightly, her hand going to her throat. From Cynthia? Well, it's like I told you, she said quickly, trying to find a logical explanation. The receptionist must have heard wrong. That's all. Barnaby nodded, acknowledging the possibility, without fully accepting it. Well, that may be so, but you can see how the whole thing would take on a very sinister complexion if Judge Royce had also received such a phone call, he pointed out, his logical mind laying out the pieces. Now, you were one of the last people to see her alive, did you? Claire shook her head immediately. No. If she had, she would have told me. Barnaby looked at her intently, his voice dropping to a softer, more encouraging tone. Are you sure? He asked. Claire looked out toward the distant, shimmering waters of the lake, her eyes filled with a deep, historical sorrow. Cynthia's dead, Mr. Jones, she said quietly, her voice trembling with genuine emotion. It's been almost a year since she was lost out there on the lake. And the year before that, she was under treatment to Dr. Anderson for an emotional disturbance. It was a terrible thing. 2 years before, she'd been raped. Her mind, it was never the same after that. Barnaby listened with profound empathy, understanding the immense pain the family had endured. So you petitioned a court to have her committed to a mental institution? He asked, his tone entirely free of judgment. Claire nodded, tears welling in her eyes. I had no other choice, she whispered, defending her past actions. She was my niece. I was legally responsible for her. Barnaby offered a comforting nod. Yes, I understand that, he said supportively. But you can see where my suspicions would start to twitch when you consider that it was Dr. Anderson who testified as to her incompetence, and it was Judge Royce who signed the commitment order. And now both are dead within a week. Claire shook her head, refusing to believe there was a dark connection. A coincidence, she insisted firmly. That's all it is. Before Barnaby could reply, Linda's voice carried across the yard as she walked up the path, her face bright with an energetic smile. Claire, she called out. Claire looked up, relieved by the interruption. Excuse me, she said to Barnaby and Martin. Barnaby watched Linda approach, turning his head slightly toward Martin. Is that the cousin you told me about? He murmured. Yes, Linda, Martin confirmed quietly. Linda walked up to them, her bright demeanor bringing a sense of youthful energy to the serious gathering. Hi, Claire, she said cheerfully. What brings you here? Claire offered a small, tired smile. A private detective named Jones was just out to see me, she explained, gesturing toward Barnaby. He knows Doc Anderson also got one of those calls. Linda's smile faded slightly, replaced by a look of serious concern. What about the Judge Royce call? She asked, her voice dropping. Not yet, Claire answered quickly, wanting to keep the town's reputation intact. Some crackpot's trying to ruin this town. And with that detective stirring up things, he mustn't find out about that second phone call. We don't need that kind of publicity. We've got to stick together in this. Lewis Manning walked up the path just in time to catch the end of their conversation, his expression grave and heavy with emotion. Just the way you did when you all got together and had Cynthia committed, right? He said, his voice laced with a bitter, defensive edge that surprised everyone. Claire turned to him, her eyes pleading for understanding. Louis, please, she begged softly. I know how much you love Cynthia. We all did. And I feel terrible about my part in it. But what happened is over. Louis looked at her, his eyes intense and filled with a desperate, lingering hope. What if it isn't? He challenged, his voice rising slightly. What if she really is alive? If she didn't drown in the lake that night? Claire stepped back, her face turning pale. Louis, she gasped, shocked by his words. Louis stepped closer, his theories pouring out fueled by his unresolved grief. After all, they never did find her body, he reminded them, his voice shaking. Claire put her hands over her ears. Stop that, she cried out, unable to bear the emotional reopening of old wounds. Louis persisted, his voice a mix of sorrow and determination. Well, it could be her, couldn't it? Back after all this time to get her revenge on all of you for what you did to her. Martin stepped in, his calm, authoritative presence helping to de-escalate the growing tension. It's not going to do any good trying to panic people with talk like that now, is it? He said gently but firmly, placing a reassuring hand near Louis's shoulder. Louis took a deep breath, running a hand through his hair as he regained his professional composure. It's been a lousy day, he admitted, his shoulders slumping with exhaustion. I think I've got to get back. Claire looked at him with deep affection and concern, wanting to heal the rift between them. Look, we've all got to try to help each other forget, she said softly, offering a warm invitation. Yeah, sure, Louis murmured, his tone distant. Claire smiled encouragingly, trying to bring some positivity back into his life. Why don't you come out to the lodge tonight? At 10 after we close. We could have a late dinner. Talk? Louis looked at her, his expression softening slightly at her kindness. Yeah, well, if I can make it, I'll call, he promised quietly. Claire nodded, her eyes full of hope. Please. Try Louis, she urged softly. Later that afternoon, Barnaby Jones walked down toward the sunlit pool area of the resort town, where the sound of splashing water and youthful laughter filled the air. A young lifeguard was sitting on an elevated chair, watching the swimmers with a relaxed, confident grin. Barnaby walked up, offering a friendly, grandfatherly smile that instantly put the young man at ease. The lifeguard position's open if you're interested, the young man joked, looking at Barnaby's neat attire. Barnaby chuckled warmly, matching the youth's light-hearted wit. I might consider it, Barnaby replied with a twinkle in his eye. It's a pool that's always full of as pretty young ladies as you. The lifeguard laughed, sliding down from his chair to speak with the investigator on equal terms. You're cute, the young man said with a friendly grin. What do you want to know? Barnaby raised his hands in a playful gesture of innocence. You sure I'm not twisting your arm? He asked humorously. The lifeguard waved his hand dismissively. Why hassle? You've been asking a lot of questions about those crazy phone calls. I figured I was next. Barnaby's expression turned slightly more focused, though his manner remained entirely comfortable and approachable. I only know of one phone call, the one to Dr. Anderson, Barnaby stated, testing the waters. Were there others? The lifeguard nodded knowingly, glad to help the kind investigator. Yes, there was another, he revealed. Judge Royce took it at the lodge the night she died. Barnaby's eyebrows rose slightly, a key piece of the puzzle falling into place. From someone who called herself Cynthia Glover? He inquired softly. The lifeguard shrugged, pointing back toward the main building. Why don't you ask Claire? She was there, he suggested helpfully. Barnaby smiled warmly, tipping his hat once more to the cooperative young man. Thanks, he said appreciatively. I'll give it another try. Barnaby walked back toward the main office of the lodge, where he found Claire busy organizing some paperwork behind the front desk. She looked up as he entered, her expression a mix of weariness and polite professionalism. Mr. Jones, she greeted him, setting her pen down. The investigation coming along all right? Barnaby walked over to the desk, his demeanor calm, steady, and thoroughly honest. It would be coming along better if I had been provided with all the available facts, he said gently, without any anger in his voice. Claire blinked, her posture stiffening slightly. All? She repeated. Barnaby leaned against the counter, his tone conversational but direct. I guess you had your own reasons for not telling me that Judge Royce received a Cynthia phone call the night she died, he noted mildly. I'm wondering what those reasons are. Claire took a deep breath, her shoulders dropping as she chose to be entirely transparent about her business motivations. Quite simply, I wanted it hushed up, she confessed honestly. To protect a lot of innocent business people, myself included, who might be hurt if it got out that some malicious prankster was trying to scare away the visitors from our resort area. Barnaby looked at her with deep seriousness, his protective instincts for the community coming to the forefront. I suppose you didn't realize when I told you about Dr. Anderson's call that we are probably dealing with a homicidal maniac, he explained gently, trying to help her understand the true gravity of the situation. Let's not overdramatize it, Mr. Jones, Claire pleaded, trying to maintain her optimistic outlook on her hometown. There's got to be a more rational explanation. Before Barnaby could respond, a local worker walked into the lobby carrying a small stack of firewood, looking a bit clumsy in his movements. Excuse me, Ms. Glover, the worker said politely. They still didn't bring enough firewood. Claire turned to him with a helpful smile. They'll make another delivery tomorrow morning, she assured him. There you are. Barnaby watched the worker leave, his sharp eyes noticing a sudden change in Claire's expression as she looked out the window at the delivery truck outside. Hey, Claire murmured, her brow furrowing. You're not the regular driver. The new driver outside waved back through the glass. He's been sick, the man called out. Claire stepped closer to the window, her eyes widening in sudden recognition and a touch of old fear. Wait a minute, she whispered. Nelson. Barnaby stepped up beside her, his protective nature instantly alert. Something wrong? He asked quietly. Claire pointed a trembling finger toward the truck outside. That driver, Nelson Mosley, he's the man who raped Cynthia, she revealed, her voice shaking with the memory of the past trauma. Barnaby's expression turned deeply serious. He gave Claire a reassuring nod and walked firmly out the front door, catching up to the delivery truck just as the driver was climbing into the cabin. Mr. Mosley? Barnaby called out, his voice steady and authoritative. The man stopped, looking at Barnaby with a defensive, hardened glare. Yeah, the man replied gruffly. My name's Barnaby Jones. The investigator introduced himself calmly. I'm a private investigator. Saw you at the Glover place. What do you want? Nelson leaned against the truck door, crossing his arms defiantly. Well, a few straight answers from you might be helpful, Barnaby said, his tone reasonable but firm. I want to talk to you a little bit about your problems with the late Judge Royce and Dr. Anderson. Nelson scoffed, turning his head away. Read about it. It was in the papers 3 years ago, he said bitterly. Barnaby kept his temper perfectly even, his calm demeanor a steady anchor in the conversation. Yeah, I already have, Barnaby replied smoothly. And the way I get the story, Judge Royce presided at your trial for the rape of Cynthia Glover, and Dr. Anderson was one of the chief medical witnesses against you. Nelson looked at him, his jaw clenched, but there was a deep, historical hurt in his eyes rather than immediate malice. Look, Jones, they're dead, Nelson said flatly. My problems with them are over. Barnaby studied his face carefully, looking for the truth beneath the rough exterior. Well, maybe not, Barnaby pointed out gently. The way it's beginning to shape up, their accidents are looking more and more like murder. Nelson let out a harsh, humorless laugh. Don't matter to me how they got to hell as long as they got there, he stated bluntly, showing his unresolved anger toward the system. Barnaby asked the crucial question with absolute directness. You didn't help them get there, did you? Nelson shook his head firmly, his voice steady. No, that's a privilege they don't give ex-cons on parole. Look, mister, I'm busy. Barnaby held up a hand, his manner remaining polite and non-threatening. I don't want to hold you up, but there is one more thing, Barnaby said. Before they died, both the judge and Dr. Anderson reported that they had received scary phone calls from someone using the name of Cynthia Glover. Nelson stared at him, his expression turning to one of genuine, utter confusion. What are you trying to pull? He demanded, completely caught off guard. Barnaby watched his eyes closely. The question is, are you trying to pull anything using a woman's voice or fake calls from a dead girl? Barnaby asked clearly. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, Nelson replied, his frustration evident but seemingly honest. Barnaby nodded, accepting the answer for the moment. In that case, you won't mind saying where you were when the judge died and when Dr. Anderson was found at the base of the cliff? Barnaby inquired. Nelson answered without hesitation, confident in his facts. I've been in San Diego the past week. I drove in here last night.
You can check that.
Barnaby offered a supportive nod. I will, he promised. Nelson took a deep breath, his defensive posture softening just a fraction as he chose to share his side of the story with a fair-minded investigator. But you're right about me having it in for Dr. Anderson and the judge, Nelson admitted openly. They burned me on a bum rap, and I'm glad they're dead. Barnaby looked at him with genuine curiosity, wanting to ensure absolute justice was served. Are you saying you were framed? Barnaby asked. Like Whistler's mother, Nelson replied with a touch of dry, cynical wit. The whole mob, including Cynthia, nailed me to the wall. They couldn't believe that a fruit picker's kid could make out with the lousy princess without knocking her to the ground first. So when Cynthia cried rape and her boyfriend Louis backed her up, well, that's all she wrote. Barnaby's sharp mind caught the detail instantly. Louis? He repeated. Yeah, him, the doc, the judge, all of them, Nelson confirmed, shaking his head at the memory. 3 to 10 years, heavy time. And I would still be stamping license plates if the boss here hadn't promised the parole board I'd have a job if they let me out. Barnaby thought back to the evening at the lodge. There was a Louis Manning in the restaurant the night the judge died, Barnaby noted. Is that the boyfriend that you're referring to? Yeah, Nelson said, adjusting his cap. Nowadays, he's a kid shrink at the clinic in town. Barnaby smiled warmly, offering a polite nod of gratitude. Thank you very much, he said honestly, letting the man get back to his work. Later that evening, the shadows grew long and deep inside the local clinic. Louis Manning was sitting at his desk, his head resting in his hands, completely exhausted by the emotional weight of the past few days. The room was quiet, save for the rhythmic ticking of a wall clock. Suddenly, a soft, rustling sound broke the silence near the doorway. Louis lifted his head, his eyes widening in surprise. Louis? A soft, sweet voice whispered from the dim light of the corridor. Louis stood up quickly, his heart hammering against his ribs. Cynthia? He breathed, his voice filled with a desperate, sudden hope. A figure stepped forward into the warm light of the desk lamp, revealing a bright, playful smile. Hello, Louis, the girl said with a cheerful giggle. It's just me. Louis slumped back slightly against his desk, letting out a long, heavy breath as the illusion shattered. That was a pretty dumb joke, he said, his voice a mix of relief and mild irritation. Linda stood before him, wearing a beautiful, vintage dress that flowed elegantly around her ankles. She looked at him with absolute affection, her eyes shining with positive energy. Don't be mad, Louis, she pleaded softly, turning around in a little circle to show off her attire. You like my dress? I think it makes me look very pretty, don't you? Louis looked at her, his professional understanding blending with his personal weariness. What are you trying to do, Linda? What do you want? He asked gently, trying to find the deeper meaning behind her actions. Linda stepped closer, her expression becoming open and completely honest. Isn't it obvious? She said softly, her voice full of genuine affection for him. Yeah, Louis murmured, looking down at his desk. Linda looked around the room, trying to bring a lighter, more magical atmosphere to his gloomy office. I just love it here, don't you, Louis? She said dreamily, trying to lift his spirits. It's my magic garden where all my dreams come true. Louis shook his head firmly, the reminder of the past bringing a wave of protective sorrow over him. Stop it, he said, his tone growing serious. You know, Cynthia and I used to come here all the time. What are you trying to do? Linda's smile faded, replaced by a look of profound, loving concern for his well-being. Nothing, she whispered softly. Louis turned away, his voice cracking with the strain of his long-held grief. You and your damn ghost, he muttered, trying to face reality. Cynthia's dead. Don't you understand?
She's dead.
And I'm alive. Linda reached out, her hand touching his arm with deep empathy and warmth. "I'm sorry," she said softly. Louis turned back to look at her, his eyes filled with pain. "Louis." Linda cried out gently, her heart aching for him. "I'm sorry, Louis. I just want you to forget Cynthia. Please, Louis. There are other girls you can love." Before Louis could answer, the door to the office clicked open firmly, and Claire Glover stepped into the room, her expression sharp and disapproving as she looked at the two of them. "What's this all about?" Claire demanded, her voice cutting through the emotional atmosphere. Linda snapped around, her protective instincts for Louis flaring up instantly into an energetic defense. "It's nothing, Claire," Linda said quickly, her tone turning defiant. She stepped between Claire and Louis, her eyes flashing with a fierce loyalty. "Louis, you leave Louis alone. Do you hear me, Claire? You've already taken everything else that belonged to Cynthia, the rest around her inheritance." Claire's face hardened, though her tone remained controlled and dignified. "Linda, that's enough," she said firmly. Linda shook her head, her voice rising with an emotional, protective power. "No, I'm not going to let her have Louis, too. Never," she declared passionately, determined to protect the man she cared about from further sorrow. Louis stepped forward, placing a gentle, calming hand on Linda's shoulder to de-escalate the family argument. "I'm sorry," he said to Claire, his voice tired but polite. "About dinner tonight, I told you I'll call." Claire looked at him for a long moment, her expression softening with genuine concern, before she nodded and quietly left the room. The next morning, Barnaby Jones walked into the local clinic, his steps measured and calm. He approached the main desk, where the receptionist looked up with a helpful smile. "But, Dr. Manning, they told me at the clinic that I might find you here," Barnaby said warmly as Louis walked out of a nearby consultation room. "My name is Barnaby Jones." Louis stopped, adjusting his glasses as he recognized the veteran investigator. "Oh, yeah, the private detective?" Louis noted politely. "Yes," Barnaby replied, his manner completely approachable and conversational. "According to Sheriff Perry, you left the lodge about the same time as Judge Royce." "That's right," Louis confirmed, wanting to be fully cooperative. "Did you notice anything unusual?" Barnaby inquired, his sharp eyes observing Louis's relaxed posture. "No, I offered her a ride home. She said no, so I took off," Louis explained simply. Barnaby nodded, shifting the conversation to a more personal, meaningful topic with great care. "You and Cynthia Glover were very close, weren't you?" Barnaby asked gently. Louis's expression softened, a touch of loving remembrance in his eyes. "We were going to be married," he revealed softly. Barnaby looked at him with deep empathy. "I know about the Cynthia call to the judge," Barnaby shared quietly. Louis let out a small, appreciative sigh. "I see. Well, if you know that already, there's nothing else to tell." Barnaby smiled warmly, encouraging Louis to share more about the human side of the story. "I wonder if you would mind telling me a little something about Cynthia," Barnaby requested gently. "It's very difficult to visualize someone unless you have some sort of an image." "I heard she was very beautiful." Louis's face lit up with a genuine, proud smile. "Yes," he said warmly, reaching into his breast pocket. "Here, you can see for yourself." He handed a small, beautifully preserved photograph to Barnaby. "That picture was taken a couple of days before," Louis explained, his voice filled with a tender affection. "You see, Cynthia had gone to a party ahead of me, and when I arrived, I couldn't find her, so I went out looking for her. And, I found them in the garden." Barnaby looked up from the photograph, his eyes sharp but understanding. "Nelson Mosley?" Barnaby asked quietly. "Yeah," Louis confirmed, his jaw tightening slightly with the old memory, though he kept his emotions constructive. "You know, I think I would have killed him right there with my hands if I hadn't heard that scream and seen the look on her face." After a couple of days, it became very obvious that she'd been severely traumatized. Barnaby listened with profound professional interest and human sympathy. "How long after that was her first talk about having her committed?" Barnaby inquired gently. "Oh, it was touch and go for almost 2 years," Louis explained, his clinical background showing through his sorrow. "Claire was her aunt and her closest relative. I guess she thought she was doing what was best for Cynthia. Barnaby nodded, acknowledging the family's difficult position. But you didn't, Barnaby noted softly. Louis shook his head firmly, his passion for his work and his love for Cynthia clear. Psychology's my field, Mr. Johns, Louis stated with quiet pride. I was only a graduate student then, but I tried to convince them to show them that it was only a temporary condition, that it was a trauma arising out of the shock of having been raped. Barnaby understood the tragic disagreement. But Dr. Anderson didn't agree, Barnaby surmised. No, Louis sighed, shaking his head. He thought she was being a menace to herself and to all the people around her, so he got Judge Royce to sign the papers. And that night, Cynthia rowed a boat out into the middle of the lake, and that was the last time anybody saw her. Barnaby thought about the geography of the area. The sheriff had the lake dragged, but they never found the body, Barnaby noted. That's right, Louis whispered, his voice full of a lingering sadness. They found the boat with her sweater in it. I guess they figured that she was lost somewhere in the deep caverns of the lake bed. Barnaby offered a comforting, supportive nod. Yes, I understand that's happened before, Barnaby said gently. Well, thank you very much, Doctor. The next day, back in Los Angeles, the bright morning sun streamed through the windows of the Barnaby Jones Investigative Agency. A young, enthusiastic man with sharp features and an energetic demeanor was sitting at the front desk, playfully answering the ringing telephone with a grand, theatrical flourish. Morning, B. Jones' office. J.R. Jones speaking, the young man announced cheerfully. From the other end of the line, miles away in the mountains, Barnaby's warm, amused chuckle carried clearly over the receiver. Jedediah, I pay you a retainer for valuable services, not one of which includes being a receptionist, Barnaby joked dryly, his wit bringing a bright smile to his young cousin's face. Hiya, Barnaby, J.R. responded enthusiastically, leaning back in the chair. I was just covering for Betty, so she can get her hair done. Anyway, I figured your answer on the phone kind of gives me the feel of the operation here. Did Betty fill you in on the Judge Royce case? Yeah, what's up? J.R. asked, instantly shifting into his sharp, eager legal mindset. Tell Betty I need the medical records of the Cynthia Glover commitment, Barnaby instructed, his tone turning focused and organized. She can find them in the Coverton County Courthouse. J.R.'s legal instincts kicked in immediately. You think there's a connection? He asked alertly. Maybe, Barnaby replied thoughtfully. Two of the principals in the decision to commit are suddenly dead, and the aunt is suddenly wealthy. J.R. let out a low whistle of surprise. Wow, he murmured, his face lighting up with a desire to help. How about if Betty and I come up there and give you a hand? Barnaby chuckled softly, his grandfatherly care for his younger family members showing clearly. Don't you have a class today in corporate law? Barnaby reminded him with a smile. J.R. laughed, his youthful spirit completely unbothered. There's got to be more to life than trying to pass a California bar, Barnaby, he joked. Barnaby smiled, offering a piece of solid, loving advice. Listen, little cousin, just burn one end of the can at a time. I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye, J.R. replied warmly, hanging up the phone with a sense of pride in their shared work. Back at the Glover Lodge, the afternoon light was beginning to fade into a cozy, golden twilight. Claire Glover was behind the desk when the main telephone rang. Willis, the bartender, picked it up quickly, listening for a moment before turning to her. Glover Lodge, Willis said, holding out the receiver. Hold on. It's for you, Miss Glover. Claire looked up from her ledger, her expression hopeful. Is it Louis Manning? She asked, thinking of their dinner plans. Willis shook his head slightly, handed her the phone. Sounds like a woman, he noted politely. Claire took the receiver with a helpful smile. I'll be right there, she said to a passing waiter, before speaking into the phone. I'll be with you in just a minute. She looked over at Harry, a young assistant who was tidying up the lounge area. Don't forget to leave the front door locked for Louis, she reminded him gently. Harry nodded with a cheerful smile. Okay. Good night, he said, gathering his things to head to the back room. Claire placed the receiver to her ear, the lodge now quiet around her. Hello? She said clearly. The voice that returned through the line was soft, airy, and carried an eerie, familiar echo that made the hairs on the back of Claire's neck stand up. "It's Cynthia," the voice whispered. Claire's breath caught in her throat, her absolute certainty about the past suddenly shaken.
"What?"
she breathed, looking around the empty room. "Didn't you, Claire?" The voice continued, sounding strangely sorrowful, yet close. "Who's there? Who is it?" Claire demanded, her voice rising with a mix of fear and confusion. The line crackled with static, the voice pouring out an emotional, haunting message. If only I could have talked to Claire one more time, just once more to tell her how sorry I am. How sorry I am for all the mean things I said. Claire gripped the phone, her heart pounding with a profound sense of human confusion as the call suddenly went dead, leaving only the empty hum of the wire. The next morning, the bright sun brought a sharp contrast to the tragic scene inside the lodge's private quarters. Sheriff Martin Perry stood near the doorway, his expression grave as his deputies carefully worked around the room. Barnaby Jones stood nearby, his face filled with a quiet, sorrowful dignity as he observed the evidence. Lewis Manning stood near the window, his posture tense and his face pale with grief. "And you didn't see your cousin again after you ran off yesterday?" Martin asked, directing his question toward Linda, who was sitting on a sofa, looking completely overwhelmed but trying to remain steady. "I was upset," Linda explained honestly, her voice trembling with genuine emotion. "I stayed in my apartment in town all night." Martin nodded sympathetically, turning to his deputy, who was checking a broken timepiece found on the floor. 10:05, Sheriff, the deputy announced clearly. "That's your determination at the time of death?" Martin inquired. "Well, I can't imagine any other way that Claire's watch would be broken except when she was struck by the pot," the deputy reasoned, pointing to a ceramic planter nearby. Martin turned his attention toward Harry, who was standing nervously by the bar. Harry? You took off for home a little after 10? Martin asked. 2-3 minutes at the most, Harry answered quickly, wanting to be fully helpful. Harry told my deputy that Claire asked him to leave the front door open for you, Martin noted, turning his sharp gaze toward Lewis Manning. How come he never showed up? Lewis took a deep breath, his explanation completely professional and straightforward. I got tied up at the clinic, Lewis explained honestly. I tried to call to beg off. There was no answer. Martin rubbed his chin, looking over his notes carefully. Harry, didn't you tell my deputy that Claire did receive a call from Lewis? Martin questioned. Harry shook his head rapidly, correcting the misunderstanding with absolute clarity. No, he got it wrong, Harry stated firmly. I told him there was a call that Claire thought was Mr. Manning. Barnaby stepped forward, his analytical mind focusing on the detail. What call was that? Barnaby asked gently. Didn't get her name, Harry replied, trying hard to remember the details. Her name? Barnaby prompted. Well, it sounded like a woman, I think, Harry said, squinting his eyes. Well, think harder, Harry, Martin urged helpfully. Was it the same voice that called Judge Royce the night she died? Harry looked surprised, his eyes widening. Well, now, wait a minute, Harry stammered. I didn't hear anything about a call to the judge. Martin offered a small, apologetic nod. Miss Glover made us promise not to say anything about it, Martin revealed gently. I'll talk to you about that later, Martin. Was it? Barnaby kept the focus on the main point. It could have been, Harry admitted thoughtfully, trying to be as accurate as possible. Yeah, I guess maybe it was the voice of the woman calling herself Cynthia. Martin looked at Barnaby, a deep look of concern on his face. Well, Martin, are you beginning to contemplate the possibilities? Barnaby asked quietly, his tone full of educational insight. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Martin stated with absolute conviction. If somebody is murdering these people, I'm still not going to believe that it's the work of a supernatural killer. Barnaby walked over to a small evidence table where a small object lay in a clear bag. We found this on the floor next to the body, Barnaby revealed, pointing to a beautiful, silver monogrammed compact. CLG, Cynthia Lynn Glover. Martin shook his head, his logical mind analyzing the clue. If someone is trying to make us believe a dead girl committed those murders, they're trying awfully hard, Martin noted. It's obvious. That killer planted this next to the body to throw everybody off. Just like he or she or whoever it is are pretending to be Cynthia making those calls. Later that afternoon, Barnaby Jones and Louis Manning walked down toward the town's lumber yard, where the heavy scent of freshly cut pine filled the air. They found Nelson Mosley unloading large wooden beams from his truck. As soon as Nelson saw Louis approaching, his expression turned fiercely defensive, and he gripped a heavy wooden stake tightly in his hand. "Stay back or I'll smash your head," Nelson shouted, his voice full of a protective anger born from years of feeling wronged. Louis stopped, his own protective instincts for the memory of Cynthia causing his temper to flare slightly. "How'd they ever let scum like you back out on the streets?" Louis demanded, his voice tight. Nelson let out a bitter, powerful laugh. "Oh, listen to that," Nelson mocked, his eyes flashing with a desire for fairness. The pot cursing the kettle. "Well, it's time you listen for a change." Barnaby stepped between them, his calm, grandfatherly presence acting as a natural shield and a calming force. "I did listen," Louis said, trying to control his breathing. "I listened for a day and a half in that courthouse till I wanted to throw up. You all railroaded me. 3 years. And throwing this arm I lost in a prison fight. Now, that's what the lies Cynthia told cost me." Nelson's voice dropped, carrying a profound, raw honesty that made Barnaby listen even more closely. "I was there. I saw it." Louis insisted passionately. "You were there at the end." Nelson shouted back, defending his truth. "You didn't see her the night she got to that party all wild-eyed, acting weird. Like she was on something. Pot uppers, I don't know, something." Louis shook his head, his clinical knowledge and love refusing to accept it. "No, she didn't do any of that," Louis stated firmly. Nelson stepped closer, his voice full of an intense desire to be believed after years of silence. "Oh yeah? Then maybe you didn't know her like you let on," Nelson countered openly. "She was flying. Especially after she got me to take her into the garden." Louis blinked, caught off guard by the detail. "Got you?" Louis repeated. "That's right," Nelson stated with absolute clarity. "It wasn't me that made the first move. She said she needed air. Or something else she needed. Come at me, grab and paw." Louis's eyes widened in shock. "No," he protested. "Yes," Nelson insisted, his tone carrying the weight of a man who had nothing left to lose. "She said I was dirt, and she wanted to wallow in it. And it wasn't till you showed up that she changed. All of a sudden, like then, she's crying rape. Well, you and all the others, you didn't want to know the truth then, and you don't want to know it now. But that's the way it was. Look, man, I already put in my time. I got no reason to lie. You gotta believe me. Cynthia was out of her skull that night." Barnaby watched Nelson closely, recognizing the ring of genuine truth in the man's words, realizing the entire tragedy may have been built on a massive, heartbreaking misunderstanding. Barnaby offered Nelson a polite, respectful nod. "If anything comes up, I'll give you a call," Barnaby said kindly, showing the man the respect he deserved. "Where are you staying?" "Pineview Hotel," Nelson replied, lowering the wooden stake as he realized the investigator was fair-minded. Barnaby turned back toward the main office of the lodge where Linda was busy talking to Harry. "Harry, I want you back here at 5 o'clock, Linda was saying, her voice organized and full of youthful determination to keep the family business running. "Today?" Harry asked, looking tired. "Yes, we still have a business to run. You know," Linda replied with an encouraging smile. "Yes, Miss Glover," Harry said politely, heading toward the kitchen. "Gentlemen," Linda greeted Barnaby and Martin as they walked up. Martin looked at her with deep sympathy. "And her cousin's body's not even cold yet," Martin noted softly, amazed by her strength. "Is Linda the sole heir to Clara's estate, or do the other relatives share also?" Barnaby asked Martin quietly as they stepped aside. "Oh, as far as I know, she's the end of the line," Martin revealed. "Yeah. Maybe I'd better have one of my deputies try to do a little checking on her alibi." "I'll see you," Martin said, walking toward his car. Barnaby walked over to the lobby lounge where Betty Jones had just arrived, carrying a neat folder of legal documents. She looked bright, energetic, and completely dedicated to helping her father-in-law. "You always manage to show up in time for a free lunch, don't you?" Barnaby joked warmly, his eyes full of affection for her. Betty laughed, her bright wit matching his instantly. "Well, that's what you get for not paying me a halfway decent living wage," she teased playfully, handing him the folder. "Here's the medical testimony from Cynthia Glover's commitment hearing." Barnaby took the folder, his sharp mind ready to analyze the facts. "What's all that?" Betty asked, pointing to a small fingerprint card in his hand. "A couple of fingerprints I left in the phone booth," Barnaby explained smoothly. "You mean you have something?" Betty asked alertly. "I won't know until the sheriff checks it out with the FBI," Barnaby said reasonably. "Just any old phone booth?" Betty inquired. "No, the phone booth closest to the lodge," Barnaby revealed, his logical mind putting the pieces together. "The bartender said that Clara received a call at the bar just before closing time. And shortly after that, she was dead." "Think it was another Cynthia call?" Betty asked, her face serious. "Well, the call would have had to have been made close enough so the killer could get there in just those few minutes. Might not have been that phone booth, might have," Barnaby mused, opening the medical folder. As Barnaby scanned the pages, his expression turned from curiosity to a deep, profound professional focus. "What do you got?" Betty asked, leaning closer with supportive interest. "Some pretty depressing reading, I'm afraid," Barnaby admitted, his voice full of human empathy for the tragic girl. "Besides Dr. Vincent Anderson's testimony, there's also some unpublished background reports from a court-appointed neurologist, a Dr. William Reston. He did a series of tests on Cynthia. Yeah, psychological profile. Full physical. Rorschach. E.g. brainwave." Betty watched his face carefully. "What is it?" she asked, sensing a major breakthrough. Barnaby closed the folder with a firm, decisive click, his eyes shining with absolute clarity. "Betty, we've got to have a talk with Dr. Lewis Manning." "Let's go," he declared with energetic determination. A short time later, Barnaby and Betty arrived at a neat apartment building in the center of town. They found the building manager tending to some plants in the hallway. "Hi, I'm the manager," the man greeted them with a helpful smile. "If you're looking for Lewis, you'll have to try the clinic." "Oh, I tried there, and they gave me this address," Barnaby explained politely. "What time do you expect him home?" "Hard to tell," the manager replied honestly, shaking his head. "Lewis keeps the apartment, but he's rarely here. He's been staying mostly at a cabin he owns up in the mountains." "How would I get there?" Barnaby inquired, his sharp mind recording the details. "Out the highway, 12 miles to the bridge crest turnoff. Left for another 8 miles and there you are." "Got his name on the box. Can't miss," the manager explained clearly. Barnaby looked thoughtful, his professional curiosity piqued. "Isn't it kind of unusual maintaining 2 homes in a community this size?" Barnaby noted mildly. "True," the manager agreed, his tone turning sympathetic and understanding. "Lewis has cause to be eccentric. When he's out of the clinic, he's become a sort of hermit. It all started with the death of a girl he was going to marry." Barnaby nodded with deep empathy. "I see. Thank you," Barnaby said warmly, heading back to the car with Betty. The drive up the winding mountain path was beautiful, with the golden afternoon sun filtering through the dense pine trees. They finally pulled up to a secluded wooden cabin with a mailbox marked with Lewis Manning's name. Barnaby looked around the quiet yard, noting the empty driveway. "Well, there's no car," Betty observed, looking around the peaceful woods. "And unless Mr. Manning is a long-distance jogger, we've struck out again." Barnaby smiled, his patient determination unshaken. "Well, let's give it a try," he said, walking toward the porch. Betty followed him, looking around the thick forest with a touch of playful nervousness. "Must we?" she asked humorously. "Dr. Manning?" Barnaby called out politely, knocking on the heavy wooden door. There was no answer. "Harvey, if we have to put in some waiting time, could we do it in the car?" Betty asked with a gentle smile. "Don't tell me you're afraid of the woods, Betty," Barnaby teased her gently, his wit keeping the atmosphere light and positive. "Not of the woods," Betty clarified with a laugh. Just of the bears and the lions and the snakes in the woods. Barnaby laughed, but his sharp eyes suddenly caught a specific architectural detail on the cabin windows. Here, take a look at this, Barnaby pointed out, his tone turning analytical. What? Betty asked, walking over. The bars? Yeah, Barnaby noted, examining the heavy iron bars securely fitted over the glass. Same thing down here, he murmured, checking a lower window. Well, is there something strange about people wanting to protect themselves with barred windows? Betty reasoned logically. Barnaby smiled, his extensive investigative experience providing a brilliant insight. First rule about protecting property is try not to get robbed in the first place, Barnaby explained with educational clarity. That sounds reasonable, Betty agreed. The way to do that is to make sure that any potential intruder sees that the house is very hard to break into, Barnaby continued. Of course, Betty realized, her eyes widening. The bars should be on the outside, not hidden inside. Yeah, Barnaby agreed, his mind racing as he realized the true purpose of the bars. I think we ought to have a look inside, he stated firmly. Right, Betty agreed, supporting his decision. Barnaby reached for the doorknob, preparing to examine the lock. What's wrong? Betty asked as he paused. Can't seem to make the tumblers catch, Barnaby murmured, turning the knob. You did it again, Betty noted with a smile as the door swung open. No, I didn't, Barnaby revealed, his expression turning deeply serious. The door was, unlocked. Oh, I see, Betty whispered, stepping inside the beautifully furnished cabin. It was broken on the inside. Barnaby looked around the comfortable living room, noting the soft carpets, the warm fireplace, and the elegant decorations. Doesn't quite have the Spartan look of a man living as a hermit, Barnaby observed dryly. Well, apparently he has found himself a lady hermit to share the lonely hours, he noted, looking at a pair of delicate women's slippers near the sofa. Betty walked over to a small side table where a framed photograph stood. Betty? Barnaby called out. Cynthia Glover, Betty revealed, holding up the photo of the beautiful girl. Suddenly, the front door flung open firmly, and Louis Manning stood in the doorway, his face twisted with anger and surprise, his breathing heavy. It's the doctor, Betty noted quickly, stepping back beside Barnaby. You've got no right in here. Get out. Louis shouted, his voice cracking with emotional desperation. Now, take it easy, Doctor, Barnaby said, his voice an absolute anchor of calm, steady control. We just want to have a little talk. This is my daughter-in-law, Betty Jones. Louis glared at them, his defensive walls completely up. The manager told you to try me at the clinic, Louis stated angrily. You've got no right breaking in here. We didn't exactly break in, Barnaby explained with gentle fairness. The door lock was already broken. Now, would you like to tell me why? Or would you like me to tell you? What I would really like is for you to leave. Right now. Louis demanded, his hands shaking. Barnaby looked at him with deep, professional seriousness, his tone firm but entirely free of malice. All right, Barnaby said calmly. The sheriff will probably be interested in my theory, which includes the reason why you installed these bars the way you did, which is not to keep people out but to lock somebody in. Louis's face turned completely pale, his clinical composure completely shattering. I don't know what you mean, he stammered defensively. Barnaby pulled a document from his coat pocket, presenting the undeniable facts with absolute clarity. This is a copy of the rap sheet from the file of Cynthia Glover's commitment hearing, Barnaby explained smoothly. She was apparently arrested at one time for drunken driving. Louis shrugged, trying to dismiss the evidence. Well, they took her whole life's history. So what? Louis countered. Barnaby held up another card, his voice steady and undeniable. These are a couple of fingerprints I picked up in the phone booth near the lodge this morning, Barnaby revealed. They match. Louis shook his head, his voice rising in desperate denial. Now, that's ridiculous, Louis shouted. Barnaby looked at him with profound human understanding, laying out the tragic truth with great empathy. Those phone calls from Cynthia, she made them herself, didn't she? Barnaby asked gently. Louis fell back against the wall, his hands covering his face as the truth finally poured out. No, Mosley made them. Nelson Mosley made them, Lewis claimed desperately, trying to protect the secret. He did it for revenge. That's why he came back here, to get a job at the mill, so he could be close. Barnaby shook his head slowly, his voice full of a kind but unyielding clarity. Won't wash, Lewis, Barnaby stated firmly. Those fingerprints are conclusive. And if the sheriff wants more, I'm sure he can pick up hundreds here in the cabin. Lewis lowered his hands, tears streaming down his face, as his defensive wall completely collapsed. No, wait a minute, Lewis begged, his voice cracking with emotion. You don't understand. Barnaby stepped closer, his grandfatherly empathy shining brightly as he helped the broken man find peace. I think I do, Barnaby said softly, his voice full of human warmth. A man in love with a woman, a professional psychologist who knew before anyone else that the woman's mind was not stable. He felt qualified to help her with her problem, but desperately afraid that he might lose her to some institution. I can understand that. Lewis nodded entirely, his love for Cynthia the driving force behind his every action. She's my whole life, Mr. Jones, Lewis confessed openly, his voice full of a beautiful, tragic devotion. That night Cynthia rode out on the lake. You got there in time to save her, didn't you? Barnaby asked gently. Yeah, Lewis whispered, the memory coming alive in his mind. Then you brought her up here, caged her in, and spent all that time trying to cure her. Barnaby traced the narrative with great insight. It was working, too, Lewis insisted passionately, his eyes shining with a medical and personal hope. Every day she was improving. She was opening up. She was becoming more like the girl that she used to be, the one I fell in love with. And last Friday I came home from the clinic and, she'd broken through the lock. Barnaby listened with deep focus as Lewis explained the sudden, tragic twist of events. Someone's taking the Jeep, Lewis remembered thinking as he had arrived home to find the yard empty. Cynthia, he had called out in a panic. Cynthia. He had rushed inside to find the broken lock, realizing the profound danger. If that was Cynthia and she was listening, she knows that Nelson Mosley's out of jail, Lewis explained, his voice full of a desperate, protective fear for her safety. Cynthia, Lewis had cried out into the empty woods. Cynthia. Meanwhile, high up on the scenic mountain overlook, near the edge of a steep cliff, the afternoon sun cast long, dramatic shadows. Linda was standing near the edge, looking out at the beautiful scenery, trying to find some peace after the family tragedy. Suddenly, a soft rustling sound caused her to turn around. Her eyes widened in sudden, profound shock. A figure stepped out from the pine trees, wearing a flowing dress, her eyes wide and unfocused, her expression a mix of deep sorrow and confusion. Cynthia, Linda whispered, her heart stopping. Cynthia. Please, Linda begged softly, holding her hands up in a gentle, non-threatening gesture. No. You're the last one. No, Cynthia whispered, her voice airy and disconnected from reality, yet filled with a deep, historical hurt. What happened wasn't my fault. I swear. I swear it wasn't. It wasn't my fault, Linda cried out honestly, her heart aching for her cousin's profound suffering. Cynthia stepped closer, her expression turning into one of deep, sorrowful confusion as she processed the past. Yes, it was, Cynthia stated softly. And the rest of them, too. They wanted to put me away in a place where they lock the doors forever. Linda looked at her with absolute empathy and love, wanting nothing more than to heal her cousin's broken mind. Like the place Lewis locked you in? Linda asked gently, trying to help her connect with reality. Cynthia nodded slowly, a tear slipping down her cheek. Yes. But I got away from Lewis, didn't I? She noted with a faint, childlike smile. Nelson Mosley suddenly stepped out from the nearby trail, his hands raised openly, his face filled with an absolute, profound transformation of character. Seeing the tragic reality of the girl he had once resented, all his anger had completely melted into a deep, human pity. Take it easy, Nelson said, his voice remarkably gentle and reassuring as he stepped toward her. "Everything's gonna be all right, miss. Take it easy." Nelson looked at Linda, his voice steady and completely honest, sharing a powerful message of forgiveness and personal growth. "The only thing that kept me going all that time in prison was how much I hated her for what she did to me," Nelson confessed openly, his heart entirely clear. "How glad I was she was dead. Now all I can feel is sorry for her." At that moment, the sound of a police siren echoed faintly up the mountain road as Sheriff Perry's vehicle arrived, bringing a peaceful conclusion to the long, tragic mystery. An hour later, the bright sun warmed the front porch of the sheriff's station in town. Martin Perry walked out to join Barnaby Jones, who was enjoying a warm cup of coffee in the fresh air. "My deputy just radioed in," Martin announced, sitting down with a sigh of relief. "They picked Lewis up. I don't know what the DA is going to charge him with yet, but that man's indirectly responsible for 3 deaths. Barnaby nodded slowly, his analytical mind reflecting on the powerful moral lesson of the case. "It's incredible," Barnaby noted mildly. "And it all could have been avoided if he hadn't tried to play God." Martin looked out toward the clinic where a specialized medical vehicle was preparing to transport Cynthia to a proper, loving care facility. "You think there's still a chance for Cynthia, Mr. Jones?" Martin asked with genuine concern for the girl's future. Barnaby smiled warmly, his eyes filled with a bright, optimistic faith in human resilience and the power of proper, professional care. "Well, she's in the right hands now," Barnaby stated with absolute certainty and a supportive smile. "That's the best chance anybody can get."